Very good morning to one and all. Welcome to the next section on Python. I request if anybody is having the doubt so far, the topic of functions in Python, please raise your hand. If there are no doubts, we can continue to the topic in functions. Just remember what we have discussed so far in terms of functions. So, in order to define a function in Python, we have used the keyword called as def. Okay, we have used the keyword def. And after this one, we just provided the name of the function. For example, if the name of the function is cs. Okay, we have provided the name of the function followed by. So if we want to have parameters, we can have parameters inside those braces, and at the end of declaration, we use the colon symbol. And here we just represented the body of the function. We just represented the body of the function. So if somebody wants to call this function, okay, they have to call by using the name followed by the number of parameters inside the function. So the above function is not having any parameters, so we can call the function without passing any parameters. So if you do so, and if you run the code, you are going to execute this function. And in case if this method is having a one parameter, here we can pass any value, either it may be an integer, floating point, or a character, or a string, or a boolean value, etc. So we can pass any value. So by passing any value, we can execute the above function. So if we don't pass any value and if we try to execute this function, we are going to get an error, right? And at the same time, not only one parameter, we can have any number of parameters we want. Okay, any number of parameters we want. So if there are 4 parameters, while calling that function, we have to pass 4 values. The 4 values may be of any type, but we have to pass 4 values in order to execute the function perfectly. Okay, and sometimes we may not know how many number of parameters we are going to pass during the method call, and during the time we are allowed to write the arbitrary arguments. So if you mention the star symbol in front of the parameter, then it is called as an arbitrary. And in case of arbitrary, okay, in case of arbitrary, the function will be executed if we pass 0 parameters. The function will be executed if we pass 1 parameter, or the function will be executed if we pass n number of parameters. Okay, so when we take arbitrary parameter means during the method call, we may pass 1, 0, 2, 3, and so on n number of parameters depending upon our need. So here if we pass 2, 4, 7, 8, all these 4 values will be stored at a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, and a of 3. Because the parameter variable name is a. Okay, so these values are going to be stored at locations for a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, and a of 3. Right. So if we pass one more value, that will be stored in a of 4. Okay, and then after seeing this one, we have covered the default parameters or the keyword parameters. So keyword parameters in the sense, let us assume there are 4 parameters here, a comma b comma c comma d, and if you run the code, it is going to be executed. See here, so here 2 will be assigned to a, 4 will be assigned to b, 7 will be assigned to c, and 8 will be assigned to d. So in which order we are giving the values, the same order of assignments will be done for the parameters. For example, if I have taken c equal to something called as 10, and if I run the code, see here, just a second. So if I pass c equal to 10 and d equal to 20, okay, and in such case, if I pass only 2 values and if I run the code, okay, if I run the code, again it is going to execute the code. See here, just instead of printing computer, if you print the values of a comma b comma c comma d, and if you run the code, the values will be printed as 2, 4, 10, and 20. Because 2 will be assigned to a, 4 will be assigned to b, where c is having the default parameter 10 and the d is having the default parameter 20. Okay, So this is all what we have discussed so far regarding methods. Okay, so if anybody is having the doubts among these concepts, uh, please raise your hand. If there are no doubts, we can continue to the next topic, that is recursion in Python. Okay, recursion. Right. Hope there are no doubts. So let us start the topic of recursion. So here, see here, recursion means calling itself. For example, if your name is ABC, let us assume if someone's name is ABC, and this ABC is calling this ABC itself. Okay, then the concept is called as recursion. Okay, so in Python, not only in Python, this recursion is common in all the programming languages. Okay, this recursion is common in all the programming languages. Let us assume, let us come to the C programming language first. Okay, let us come to the C programming language. In C programming language, for example, there is a main method. Okay, there is main method. So inside this main method, okay, inside this main method, I have just called a method called as CSV. Okay, I just called a method called as CSV, where let us assume this is the body of the CSV method. Okay, it is the body of the CSV method. So inside the body, okay, inside the body, we can have any number of statements depending upon our need. Okay, so generally, in C programming language, the execution will start at main method. So whenever the main method starts its execution, so inside the main method, there may be multiple number of lines depending upon our need. There may be multiple number of lines of code, right? Among those, I have one line called as CSV. Whenever the CSV was observed by the compiler, immediately it is going to search where the CSV function is there inside the program. Okay, so if it found CSV, it starts executing the CSV function. So when it starts executing the CSV function, it will execute the lines of code which was there inside the CSV one by one. So among these lines, if I have a call to the same function again, okay, if I have a call to the same function again, now the function will be executed up to this part. Because I have called the CSV function, again it is going to call the same function. Okay, now you can observe here, this function CSV is calling the CSV again. Okay, function is calling itself again. So it is called as recursion. It is called as recursion. Let us assume there is no CSV here. So there is no statement called as CSV here. Instead of that one, I have called one more method called as ECE. And let us assume it is the body of ECE. Okay, let us assume it is the body of ECE. And whenever this ECE was observed by the C compiler, then it starts searching for the ECE function inside the program. So if the ECE function was found, it will start executing this ECE function, all the lines of code. Okay, depending upon the conditions or the iteration loops given. Okay, it is not called as recursion. See here, inside the main function, we have called CSV, and inside the body of CSV, we have called ECE, and ECE will be executed. It is not called as recursion. When we call it as recursion, instead of calling ECE, if CSV calls itself, then it is called as recursion. And at the same time, among these lines of code, okay, among these three lines of code, if one line is ECE, okay, if one line is ECE, then immediately it is going to call the same function again. It is called as recursion. Okay, now I think you are clear. Okay, if a function calls itself, we call it as recursion. So there are a lot of advantages. Okay, there are a lot of advantages with this recursion. So before going to see all these advantages, let us see the things in Python. So this is what the recursion in C, and let us see the recursion in Python. Almost it is everything is same. See here in Python. So in Python, we generally start defining a function by using the def keyword, and after that we will have the name of the function. So let us assume the name of the function is function1, that is fun1 is the name of the function, and this function1 do not have any parameters. Okay, and it is the end of the declaration. And inside the body, okay, inside the body, I have couple of statements, or I have three statements. The first statement is that print, okay, print good morning, print good morning. And my second statement is that print good evening, okay, print good evening. And my third statement is that fun1, fun1. Now it is the definition and it is the body. So from this point to this point, it is the body of the function. If someone calls this function one, okay, someone calls this function one, now Python compiler is going to start executing this function. So when it start executing this function, it is going to print good morning on the output screen, followed by good evening on the output screen. And then when it again finds function one inside the body of function one, then again it is going to execute the same function again. And again we are going to get good morning, and then good evening, and then good morning, and then good evening, and so on. Okay, so we are going to print good morning and good evening for infinite number of times, because inside the function one we have called the function one. So it is called as recursion, right? So let us do this by using an example here. So in order to define a function in Python, we are going to use the def keyword, and let us assume my function name is fun1, and it is not having any parameters, and I am going to end this with a colon. And inside this one, it is going to print good morning, right? And after that, the same thing is going to print something called as good evening. Okay, and let us see the things first one. After this one, okay, it is a function name and it is the body. And if I call this function one, see here, if I call this function one, okay, and if I run the code, okay, so whenever we call this function one, immediately Python compiler is going to execute this one. So when it is executed, good morning will be printed on the output screen, followed by good evening will be printed on the output screen. Okay, now let us make some changes inside this one. So inside the body of the function one, and if I call the same function one again, okay, same function one again. Now what will happen whenever we call this function one? Okay, whenever we call this function one, Python compiler is going to start executing this function one. It is going to print something called as good morning on the output screen, and the second statement is going to print good evening on the output screen. And after that, the third statement is again we are calling the same function. So again it is going to execute, or it is going to call the same function. When the same function is called again it is going to print good morning and then good evening. Again it will call the same function. Again it is going to print good morning, good evening. So it will be printed infinite number of times. Okay, let us execute this one. You can see here, you can see the output. So good morning and good evening followed good morning followed by good evening has been printed for n number of times. Okay, so see here, here at the end, there we got some exception. Okay, exception means one type of error. See here, previous line repeated 992 more times. So good morning and good evening has been printed for 992 times, right? So recursion error. What is the error? Maximum recursion depth exceeded while calling a Python object. So in Python, we are allowed to execute the same part of, or we are allowed to call the recursion for 992 times. Okay, more than that, we are going to get a recursion. Okay, right. So this is how this is how uh, this is what the recursion means. So on the recursion, let us see some examples. I think you all remember one program called as something called as factorial, finding the factorial of a given number. Okay, factorial in the sense, okay, factorial in the sense, for example, let us assume, our program is going to ask something called as enter a number. Okay, our program is going to ask enter a number. So if you give one, okay, if you give one, then one will be the output, or if you give zero, zero will be the output. And in case if you give two, two will be the output. And if you give three, the output will be 3 into 2 into 1. That is 6 will be the output. And if you give 4, the output will be 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That is 24 will be the output. And if you give 5, okay, if you give 5, 120 may be the output. So this is how the factorial will be calculated. So if you give a number n, that n number will be multiplied with n minus 1, and that will be multiplied with n minus 2, and that will be multiplied with n minus 3, and so on. The multiplication is performed till the number reaches 1. If you provide the number 10, 10 will be multiplied with 9, and this will be multiplied with 8, and this will be multiplied with 7, and so on. It will be multiplied up to 1. So this is how the way of finding a factorial of a given number, right? So let us do this one by using the recursion. Okay, so let us see here. Let us start the things here. For example, I am going to define a method which is going to find the factorial of a given number. Factorial of a given number. For finding the factorial, I need to have one variable. So let us assume the variable name is x. See here, without having the variable, I cannot find the factorial, right? So for finding the factorial, I need to have a value. For example, user had entered 10. I'm going to store the value of 10 inside x, and I'm going to do something called as, see here. Here, I'm going to write the conditions. Okay, I'm going to write the conditions. If the given x value is 0, okay, if the given x value is 0, then what I am going to do is I'm going to return 0. Okay, I'm going to return 0. And in case, else if, Python we have to use ELIF, else if x equal to 1. So in case, what we have to do in case of x equal to 1, return 1. So if the value of x is, if the given value of x is 0, we have to return 0. If the given value of x is 1, we have to return 1. And then else, see, else return. So what we have to return here, what we have to return, we need to multiply this value. Okay, we need to multiply this value x with x minus 1, right? X minus 2, sorry, x minus 1 and to x minus 2, and so on. Last we need to do with this 1. So instead of we don't know what the x value may be. So because of that, I'm going to replace the statement with x into factorial, right? Factorial, right? And then factorial of x minus 1. See here, factorial of x minus 1. So the entire thing, okay, the entire thing is the body of the factorial method. The entire thing is the body of the factorial method. Now what I am doing is that I am calling the factorial method from the factorial method. Okay, so we are in the factorial method. This all the part which was highlighted on the screen was the body of the factorial method. Inside the body of the factorial method, again we are calling the factorial. So it is called as recursion, right? We are doing the factorial program by using recursion, right? Now after this one, let us end the body and let us take one variable. Okay, let us take one variable. For example, a variable of number. Let us assume number equal to 5. So I'm directly assigning. I'm not asking the user to enter the numbers from the during runtime. I'm directly giving the value. For example, number equal to 5, and I am going to print something called as the factorial, the factorial. Okay, the factorial of, so the factorial of number, right, is, okay, is here we have to call the factorial method. Factorial of number. Okay, see here. So it will start compiling, or it will start checking all the lines. Okay, it will start checking all the lines. So everything is perfect. So for example, here what it will print. Let us check what it will print. For example, we have given the num value as 5, and it will be printed on the output screen. So what will be printed? The factorial of, what is the num value? 5. So the factorial of 5 is, here we are calling the factorial function. See here. So now this factorial function is going to be called. Okay, for calling the factorial function, we have to provide one parameter, and that parameter will be assigned to x. Now here, x will be assigned with num, where the value of num is 5, x will be assigned with 5. So the value of x here is 5, right? So now we go on checking the conditions. The first condition is that if x equal to 0. So in case if x equal to 0, we have to return 0. But unfortunately, x value is not 0. X value is 5. That's why we are not going to get 0 as an output. And then else if, else if x equal to 1, we have to return 1. So x value is 5, so it is not going to return 1. So if both the cases fail, then it is going to execute the else. Right? In else, okay, in else, what we told the Python compiler to do, we told that return what the compiler has to return. It has to return x star, okay, x star, which means 5 star, okay, 5 star, and then what we have given, factorial of x minus 1. See here, now the x value is 5, and we are calling the factorial function again with 5 minus 1, that is 4. Now what it will do, it will return 5 star, 4 star, again 4 minus 1, 3 star, 2 star, 1. Okay, 5 star, 4 star, 3 star, 2 star, 1. Now the entire thing will be printed on the output. See here, if I run the code, you can see here the factorial of 5 is 120. Okay, the factorial of 5 is 120. So this is how we can find the factorial of a given number by using recursion. So let us assume what will be the output when the num value is 0. So the factorial of 0 is 0, because when we call the factorial function with 0, first condition is going to be satisfied and it is going to return 0. And in case if you pass 1, first condition is failed. That's why we are going to check else if, and in else if the value of x is 1, we asked the compiler to return 1, so it has returned 1. And in case if the value of num is 2, okay, it is, we are going to get 2 as an output. And in case if the value of num is 3, we are going to get 3 into 2 into 1, that is 6 as an output. And if it is 4, 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, that is 24 will be the output of this factorial program using recursion in Python. Okay, and if anybody is having the doubts in this program or recursion, please raise your hands. I will unmute you. If there are no doubts, we can see one more program, right? We can see one more program on this recursion. Okay, do one thing. Write one program in Python of your own. Okay, write one program in Python of your own, and please share the images of your program to my WhatsApp or else. So see here. So what I am going to give as a task is that, so write a Python program. Okay, write a Python program to display the Fibonacci series. Okay, to display the Fibonacci series. So I will explain what is Fibonacci series and how the values will be generated. Okay, how the values will be generated. And with that, please do the program by using recursion. Right? See here. So Fibonacci series in the sense, for example, the Python program has to ask the user how many number of terms do you want? How many number of terms? How many terms do you want? Okay. So see here. So the Python program is going to ask the user how many number of terms do you want. For example, if I have given 0, then it has to provide 0 as an output. Okay, and if I have given 1, okay, if I have given 1, then it has to provide 1 as an output. And in case if I have given 2, it has to provide 0 and 1 as an output. And if I have given 3, it has to provide 0, 1 and 1 as an output. And in case if I provide, I need 4 terms, then it has to provide 0, 1, 1, 2. And if I have given 5, then it has to return 0, 1, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, if I ask for 6 terms, then it has to return 0, 1, 1 and then something called as 2 and 3 and 5. Okay, and 5. So if you observe the series, okay, if you observe the series, see here, if I want 0 terms, it will return 0. If I want only 1 term, it will return 1. If I want 2 terms, it will return 0, 1. And if I want 3, it will return 0, 1, 1. And if I want 4, 0, 1, 1, 2. And 5, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. And I want 6 terms, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. See here. Apart from these 3, okay, apart from these 3, observe the series. Here the third number is occurred by adding first and second one. The first term is 0 and the second term is 1. If you add 0 with 1, we are going to get 1. So 0 plus 1, 1. And if you observe here, 0, 1 will be common in all the series. So 0, 1. So the third term will be the addition of the previous 2 terms. So see here, this 1 is occurred. See here, this 1 is occurred by adding 0 and 1. And now this 2 has been occurred by adding the 2 terms which was before them. So this 2 has been occurred by adding 1 plus 1. And see here, observe the next one. If I ask for 5 terms, 0, 1 will be the common. If you add both these 2, we are going to get this one. If we add these 2, we are going to get 1 plus 1, 2, and 1 plus 2, 3. And here, 3 plus 2, 5. And the next term, if someone asks for 7 terms, obviously the terms will be 0, 1, 1, right? 2, 3, 5. And the next term will be 5 plus 3, 8. And what will be the next term if I ask for 8 terms? 13 will be the next one. And what is the next one? 13 plus 8, 21 will be the next term. Okay, so this is the Fibonacci series. So please do some practice. So it is not a mistake. If you do wrong, it is not a mistake. If you do wrong means you are trying something. Okay, So please be positive and please start writing this program in Python, or if it is C also it's okay for me. Okay, so just do the program in order to get the desired output. Okay, so as till now you have observed what is the Fibonacci series and how the values will be generated. So write the program in C. So because you have already completed the C programming language in the previous semester, so complete the program in C language and then convert the program into Python. Okay, so in C, if you write printf means in Python you are going to write print. Okay, if you write some method in C, you are going to have a return type, method name, parameters, body of the method. Convert the same method into Python. You need to have a def key followed by name of the method, parameters, and body of the method. So similarly, convert all the things which you have written in C programming language into Python so that you get the result. Okay, and I hope you understand how to generate the Fibonacci series. And in the next class, surely I am going to explain the Fibonacci series program. And before that, I want you to please practice. And one more thing is that tomorrow morning and day after tomorrow morning, from 10:30 to 11:30. Okay, from 10:30 to 11:30, we have a workshop on blockchain technology. So, which is a leading technology in present day IT world. So, I request you to please register for this blockchain technology. I will share the registration link and followed by the poster and the WhatsApp groups after 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, so I request you to please register for this blockchain technology. And one more thing is that up to 3rd July, we are not going to have any Python. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we are going to have this. Someone has raised the hand.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
అక్కడ ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ మనం 4 కి కనుక్కున్నాం కదా సార్. సార్ వాయిస్ ఇవ్వలేదు సార్. సార్ వాయిస్ స్లోగా ఉంది. అక్కడ మనం 4 కి కనుక్కున్నాం కదా సార్ ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్. అలా కాకుండా అక్కడ ఎన్ అని పెట్టి ఎంటర్ ఎనీ నంబర్ అని చేయొచ్చా సార్? ఫెబనిక్ సిరీస్ కాదు సార్, ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ ఆఫ్ నెంబర్.
Example, num equal to, okay, num equal to int of input, okay, num equal to int of input, enter in, okay, enter in, ఇలా రన్ చేసాము, ఎంటర్ అనే నెంబర్ అని చెప్పేసి అడుగుతుంటారు. ఓకేనా, అడిగినప్పుడు వచ్చిన నెంబర్ ఇచ్చామనుకో మనకు ఆ ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్ ఆ నెంబర్ ఎందుకు ఫ్యాక్టోరియల్. ఓకేనా, జస్ట్ ఇందాక ఇచ్చింది ఏంటంటే డైరెక్ట్ వాల్యూ ఇస్తున్నాం అంటే కంపైల్ టైంలో వేరియబుల్ వాల్యూ అసైన్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే రన్ టైంలో తీసుకుంటాం. ఓకే, అంటే సి లాంగ్వేజ్ లో ఇలా చేస్తుంటే ప్రింటర్ స్కాన్ ఇలా చేస్తుంటారు అంతే కదా.
ఓకే సార్.
ఇక్కడ స్కానర్ బదులు ఇన్పుట్ అనే ఫంక్షన్ తీసుకుంటాం. అక్కడ స్కానర్ ఎలాగో ఇక్కడ ఇన్పుట్ అలాగో. ఓకే, సో ఈ ఇన్పుట్ ఇంటర్ ఎందుకు తీసుకున్నామంటే జనరల్ గా ఇలా ఇన్పుట్ అని తీసుకున్నప్పుడు నువ్వు ఏదైనా ఇచ్చావు అంటే అది బై డిఫాల్ట్ గా స్ట్రింగ్ డేటా టైప్ లో ఉంటుంది. సపోజ్ 5 ఇచ్చాము, 5 అనేది నెంబర్ లాగా కాకుండా స్ట్రింగ్ లాగా ఉంటుంది. సో ఆ ఉన్నదాన్ని మనం ఇంటీజర్ వాల్యూ అని చెప్పడానికి దాన్ని ఇంటీజర్ గా కన్వర్ట్ చేయడానికి ఇంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇచ్చినటువంటి వాల్యూ స్ట్రింగ్ లాగా ఉన్నటువంటి వాల్యూ మనకి ఇంట్ లాగా కన్వర్ట్ అనే ఫంక్షన్ ద్వారా తీసుకున్నటువంటి వాల్యూ స్ట్రింగ్, ఆ స్ట్రింగ్ మనకి ఇంటీజర్ గా కన్వర్ట్ చేయడం వస్తుంది. ఆ వచ్చినటువంటి వాల్యూ నమ్ అసైన్ అవుతుంది.
ఓకే సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Still anybody is having the doubts? Raise your hands, or else I am going to close the today's session. Okay, I'm going to close today's session, and thank you very much for being here. And mostly, the next Python class will be on Saturday or next Monday. Okay, and